There is a major problem in hip hop right now, and it only seems to be getting worse. Now, if you have taken a look at any of the top song charts recently, you will see something that hasn't happened in the history of music. From Oliver Anthony to now Zach Bryan to Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen, country artists have been enjoying the success of #1 hits, all while hip hop continues to stumble on the charts. For over a year at this point, there has not been a single rap song to top the Billboard Hot 100, and while some tracks from the likes of Drake have come very close, when you look a little bit further into this all, you start to see the real threat that rap music is facing. After years of dominance, after an era where rappers were finding more success on the charts than pop singers, rap's reign is finally coming to an end, and the tragic part is, hip-hop has nobody to blame but itself for this. Now, when we look at the success genres like country and Afrobeats have been seeing on the charts over hip-hop recently, you can pinpoint exactly why rap music is losing more and more ground every day. If you just take a quick look at the biggest hip-hop songs that have dropped this year, outside of a few outliers here and there, you will see one common theme between all of them, with that being that these songs are boring. Now, when I say boring, I am not saying that these tracks are inherently bad, but they are objectively uninteresting and uninspired. Almost everything that is trending in hip-hop right now is following the footwork of something that we have already seen, and if you don't believe me, let's just take a quick look. F You Mean by Gunna has dominated the charts this summer, and yeah, it's a super catchy track, but how many muddied up trap bangers have we seen that use this exact same template? If you need more proof, we just got a song from Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion talking about their body parts. It's blowing up right now, but we already saw this exact same premise in 2020 with WAP. Even Lil Durk's All My Life, which may be the most interesting mainstream song of the summer, is fundamentally stale, as the track's whole selling point revolves around J. Cole teaming up with a big-name street rapper, which, let's remember, is something we saw first in 2018 with 21 Savage's A Lot. Every Ice Spice song and music video pretty much follows the same set of viral baiting tropes at this point, and most of everything else is just following in the footsteps of tracks like these. I think it speaks volumes about the current downturn in hip-hop when the last song to go #1 sampled Rick James's all-time classic Super Freak in the most blatant and direct way possible, and let's remember that this song already showed to be a successful hip-hop sampling ground all the way back in 1990 with MC Hammer's You Can't Touch This. It's really this level of creative bankruptcy that has made a lot of listeners stop caring about rap music and has had them drifting to new sounds and styles. In 2022, a year where 3 of the biggest songs ripped off mega hits from Fergie, Daft Punk, and Rick James, it really set in stone how lazy hip-hop has been getting, and a lot of people have not stuck around to see what corners were gonna be cut next, and rightfully so. When it comes to the popular commercial releases in the rap world, sitting through most mainstream projects has begun to feel like a chore. Listening to albums that hover around being 20 songs long and recycle the same wheelhouse of repetitive and redundant topics, all while using the same type of beats, it's truly daunting when there is no rhyme or reason going into any of it. Many of the biggest rappers in the world have really stopped caring about offering up quality experiences and are more focused on wasting listeners' time to boost those coveted streaming numbers. The problem with this is that when every song feels like it was manufactured for mega playlists like Rap Caviar, and every album includes the same set of A-list features, new music stops feeling special and it feels like a burden, and this is the impression many have gotten from hip-hop currently. New releases from the likes of mainstream rappers have really stopped feeling exciting because of the nature and perception that has been created around most of the biggest hip-hop releases. The problem with so many big-name rappers putting in such low effort and using the same formulas to build projects is that when you have maybe something even just slightly special, it does not hold the same weight as it otherwise would. A perfect example of this is an album like Young Thug's Business is Business. Between the personal events going on in Young Thug's life and the features from Drake, Juice WRLD, 21 Savage, Future, Nicki Minaj, Lil Uzi Vert, Travis Scott, and more, you think this would be a monumental moment for hip-hop culture, but in actuality, the album came and went because just putting this type of star power together on an album doesn't mean anything to listeners anymore. This same group of artists were working together on Future's last album, and before that, Fred Gunnas, and the paradox just goes on and on. With rappers relying on methods like these to sell records, it has now backfired because more and more people are increasingly becoming tired out by hearing the same material over and over again. Now, with all of this said, despite the creative decline going on through the majority of the hip-hop world, especially in the mainstream, we have begun seeing a lot of superstars in hip-hop begin to shake things up. From Travis Scott, Lil Uzi Vert, Tyler the Creator, Lil Yachty, Playboi Carti, and even Kendrick Lamar and Drake, many of the biggest rappers in the world have worked to redefine the narrative around what commercial hip-hop can sound like in the modern era. But despite how successful an album like Utopia has been on its own, while singular superstars are finding success, the creative revolution that is trying so hard to burst open is still being held back by the walls hip-hop has built in on itself. When it comes to albums that are truly changing and setting new precedents for hip-hop artistry, they are still not breaking through to the new heights they could be because the industry simply doesn't want them to. If you don't believe me, look at a playlist like Rap Caviar, the most popular playlist in all of hip-hop and one that deems itself as the home to the best new songs in the genre. Now let me ask you a question. When you go to Rap Caviar, what types of songs do you see on this playlist? Now, just from a quick glance, you can see that this playlist only offers to its over 15 million monthly listeners a small fraction into what type of sounds hip-hop has to offer. Even from some of the most creative mainstream albums we have seen in recent memory, like the Pink Tape and Utopia, the tracks featured from these projects on the playlist are some of the safest on the entire record, and this sentiment brings me to my next point. Despite the lazy artistry many rappers have been trying to get by with, the bigger problem that is affecting hip-hop right now is how the most powerful voices in the genre are using their platforms. And now when I say powerful voices, I am not talking about the artists, but I'm talking about the personalities and the outlets who have the most influence in hip-hop culture. From a playlist like Rap Caviar to a page like Rap, the vein hip-hop is being represented in by its most prominent communicators is killing its popularity. In a world where there is a thriving hip-hop ecosystem behind all of the industry politics, in a world where we have new age rappers like JID single-handedly changing what it means to be a rapper for the better, the impact an artist like him can have is so limited because of how hip-hop media has shifted for the worse. Most big publications, playlisters, and outlets are not at all focused on showing listeners great music that's being put out from new and less popular talent, but is instead focused on regurgitating the same familiar things from the same familiar artists, all to chase those instant likes and clicks. This is why you see big hip-hop outlets focus on outlandish things like the drama between Blueface and his baby mama and the new mirror selfies from Ice Spice over promoting the actual music, the actual art that is driving the medium. The landscape this has created, the current landscape of hip-hop media, has shifted to chasing drama and clickbait over connecting listeners with the actual art that they want to hear more of, and this has hindered the genre's growth. I mean, when you have the biggest hip-hop outlet in all of media posting more about stuff like this than the actual new music coming out, it's no wonder why people are losing interest in hip-hop as an art form as a whole. Between this problem, which only seems to be getting worse over time, and record labels which are trying too hard to shove industry plans who are bringing nothing new to the table to the forefront of the hip-hop zeitgeist, it should be no surprise why any of this is happening. So all in all, the real reason why hip-hop is being destroyed and why it continues to decline on the charts is because of how low the bar has become for the mainstream and how big media outlets and record labels have only continued to exploit the genre for everything it's worth while doing the least work possible. So when you see the current state of mainstream hip-hop and its lack of captivating and refreshing offerings compared to what's going on at the surface of Latin music, Afrobeats, and country, let me ask, are you surprised to see that hip-hop is failing? It's so frustrating when the tip of the iceberg that is representing an entire art form is so shallow and it is hurting everything as a result, but this actually may not be the worst thing that can happen. Now, to input my own opinion into all of this, I think that the decline of commercial hip-hop is actually a positive thing for the long-term growth of the art form, and here's why. As hip-hop's revenue share in the music business continues to decline, labels are going to stop funding new hip-hop ventures as much as they chase these other genres which are currently growing, and so will a ton of outlets. And by having a lot of greedy and exploitative practices exiting the hip-hop ecosystem, this will allow for the real creatives delivering music that we all want to hear, music that can inspire generations to shine in ways that they have been restricted from for quite some time at this point. So while hip-hop's commercial decline may seem like a bad thing from the way it is being stirred up, the only thing this means is that it will be the end of all the cloud chasing and corner cutting going on in the industry, and it will be the true start of the creative revolution so many of the most gifted artists in the rap world have already been pushing to happen. Now, right after I recorded and edited this entire video, it of course came out that Doja Cat's song Paint the Town Red has become the first rap song to reach #1 in over a year. Now, with this said, it is technically broke the long-term drought hip-hop has been facing when it comes to getting a #1 song, but I decided to keep the rest of the video intact because I don't think that this song's success indicates that anything has changed for hip-hop's current fate, and let me tell you why. Now, when we look at a track like Paint the Town Red, this song has surged up its popularity because of its controversial music video and TikTok virality, and beyond just this alone, while musically it is Doja's most hip-hop centric hit to date, it still relies a lot on the conventions of pop music for its success, and at least majority of listeners still think this way. And if you won't take my word for it, take Spotify's fans also like section. You can see that there is no correlation, at least yet, between Doja Cat's #1 charting song and hip-hop as a whole. So with all this said, now let me ask you, sitting right there, what do you think of hip-hop's commercial decline? Is this going to be the end of hip-hop as we know it, or is this a secret blessing in disguise? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. Now, if you are sick of the terrible coverage huge hip-hop outlets have given to the genre, subscribe to my channel so you can hear about the most important moments, artists, and albums right within the rap world. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you sticking around to the end. Your support means everything. Mr. F, fantastic hip-hop. Catch you in the next video.